Hello everyone, welcome to the lecture number 17 of the NPTEL lecture series on charging infrastructure, and today we will see another variant of PFC converter, which is a bridgeless PFC converter. Now before starting the discussion, let us discuss what we have seen up till now and what we infer from that particular discussions. So in this we have seen the boost PFC converter. What we have is where we have full bridge diode rectifier and followed by a boost DC-DC converter, boost converter we have, and before that we have a full bridge diode rectifier. Now in this we have seen that this Vd what we are getting is nothing but the modulus of Vs peak sin omega t, and then we varied our duty ratio of S1 and S2 in such a manner that on an average sense we are drawing the unity power factor current from the input source, and at the same time the output voltage is kept constant even though the Vd is having rectified voltage waveform or having a voltage looks something like this. So where we have seen that our duty ratio T of t with respect to time actually varies from here to here and then in this manner, as a result of which we will be in a position to obtain a voltage V0. Assume this is your V0 voltage and this is nothing but your Vs peak voltage we have. So that is the scenario where we have seen. So where if we vary our duty ratio in this way, we will be in a position to make sure our output voltage is kept constant. At the same time, since the duty ratio is varied, we are in a position to actually apply a V converter voltage, and that V converter voltage is such that the current drawn from the Vd source will also be following the same pattern and without having any phase difference, as a result of which the current drawn from the source will be the unity power factor current, and thus we can do two things. We can able to maintain the output voltage, along with that we will be in a position to have the unity power factor current drawn from the source. However, in this case we have seen that our current which is been drawn from the input source, Is current, will have an average variation of a sinusoidal manner and having the zero phase shift with respect to the AC voltage source. However, inductor current will have ripple over that, and that ripple and the average variation of that is varied in such a manner that we have the sinusoidal current drawn from the average variation will be such that the average current will have, or the Is is actually the green color waveform. However, the average variation is having the sinusoidal component. So this particular Is current, which looks something like this, this sort, will have the frequency component of line frequency Fs, and then after that it has the switching frequency component which is FSW, and FSW we have kept switching frequency, we have kept very much greater than Fs, which is somewhere greater than 20 kilohertz, 30 kilohertz, 40 kilohertz, where our line frequency is just 50 hertz. So we can say the component, the ripple component, is very small as compared to the line frequency component. So that is what we have understood. We have also seen different ratings of this devices, inductor, capacitor, this switches S1 and S2. We have seen the voltage and current ratings. We have seen the value of L, the value of C. We have also seen the presence of second line harmonic voltage ripple on the capacitor C. So the output voltage has the DC component over which that second line harmonic voltage ripple will be having, and the C will be designed in such a manner that that second line frequency component voltage ripple is as small as possible within the permissible limit. So, this is what we have discussed in this one, and then we have also seen the closed loop control, dual closed loop control, where the control objectives were to maintain the output voltage at its desired value, obviously greater than the maximum voltage at the input, that means greater than Vs peak. Along with that, we are making sure the current, the average variation of current drawn from the source will be also a sinusoidal and having 0 phase difference as compared to the line voltage, and thus making sure we have the unity power factor current drawn from the source. So, that control objectives we have seen, and we have also seen what are the plant model to derive the controller parameters. We have also seen, we have briefly understood what are the criteria using which the controllers are designed, and we have seen the constant frequency control where we are just changing the duty ratio. We have, one can also use hysteresis control where they can vary the current ripple within a fixed band, and that band could be constant or could be variable. So, all those things we have gone through in our previous discussion. Now, let us discuss another variation of this boost PFC converter, which is the bridgeless converter. Now, here if you look very carefully, boost PFC converter, we have the input full bridge rectifier, and if we see very carefully, let us say in the positive half cycle we have D1 diode in conduction. Let us say during DTS period our S1 switch is under conduction and then our D4 switch is under conduction. While in positive half cycle in 1 minus DTS period we have D1 diode is in conduction, we have switch S2 in conduction, and then we have diode D4 is in conduction in positive half cycle. This is during DTS period, during 1 minus DTS period. However, in negative half cycle, that means when the Vs voltage, I mean the AC input voltage, Vs voltage is in negative half cycle or having a negative value, during that point what we have seen is that it is our D2 is in conduction, then again S1 in again during negative half cycle during DTS period our S1 is in under conduction and then our D3 is under conduction. While in 1 minus DTS period it is D2, S2 and D3 is under conduction. So, in any given instance of time we see that there are 3 switches or 3 semiconductor devices which are in conduction. Now, that lead to higher conduction losses, and at the same time we see that our number of component count if we see is also high because we have 4 diodes, 2 switches, inductor, capacitor are being used. So, there are 2 weak point of this converter or disadvantage of this converter, which is higher component count and along with this we have 3 devices in conduction at any given instance of time. So, thus we have pretty good conduction losses also associated with this converter. So, now let us see how the bridgeless PFC will solve these 2 particular problems. So, if you look here in this bridgeless PFC converter, what we have is since in case of boost PFC case we have the diode bridge rectifier at the front stage and then followed by DC-DC boost stage. In this case we do not have the front stage the diode bridge rectifier. Here what we have is we have the we have actually 4 devices, and these 4 devices are arranged in a manner where we have D1 and D2 which are the diodes, while S1 and S2 are the active switches, active switches with the diode connected across it. Mostly it is the MOSFETs which are being used along with their body diode which are being used. So, we represent this this switch accordingly. So, now in this case we have 4 devices and where 2 diodes are there and 2 you can say a MOSFET with a body diode are there. Now, and also along with that we have L and C which are there, and we have Vs peak sin omega t which has been there, and this is actually being been used in positive half cycle, and I mean it is been operated in positive and negative half cycle. Now let us see how in positive and negative half cycle it works. In positive half cycle, what we do is we we only switch the switch S1, we only give the to switch S1. Now when we turn on the switch S1, the thing is the current will start flowing from here, and it will go through the, if it is, let us say if it is a MOSFET, then it will go through its channel between drain to source, and then from there it on the other side it will find a pathway through the body diode of the switch S2. So now the MOSFET turns on, the current is flowing through the inductor through switch S1, and then the diode of switch S2, and then it will go back to the source, which is just nothing but a Vs of t, which is as we define over a Vs peak sin omega t. Now this, if you see, if you apply the KVL, what we will get is we have VL equal to Vs, which has been applied across the VL is the voltage across the inductor, the voltage across the inductor is nothing but equal to Vs of t, Vs of t you can say, or alternatively we are also writing just Vs. That is the case in the DTS duration where we are turning on our S1 switch. So in the DTS duration, where D is the duty ratio and the DTS is the period when the switch S1 is on in in the switching cycle sense. Here we have taken TS, where TS corresponds to 1 by FSW, and we know that FSW is very much greater than our Fs, where Fs is the line frequency, as we have already taken into consideration. So in switching period sense, in switching cycle sense, this S1 it turns on for DTS period, and that is when the current is flowing in this manner. Then in 1 minus DTS period, when the switch S1 is open, when the moment the switch S1 is open, the inductor current which is there, which is developed, has to find a pathway, as a result of which this D1 gets forward bias, and the current will start flowing through this, through the load, and then it comes back through the diode of S2 switch, or you can say the body diode of the MOSFET, and comes back to the source. Now as a result of which, what we have is, we have our if we try to write down the KVL in this loop, what we have is the voltage across the inductor VL is nothing but Vs minus V0, Vs minus V0, or you can also write in this one Vst minus V0. And if you look very carefully in the positive half cycle, we are not giving any gate, we are not giving any gate pulses to S2 switch, or we are not turning on S2 switch, or if the MOSFET is there, we are not turning on its channel. Only the diode across the device is conducting in the S2 across the S2, which is connected across the S2 switch, but S2 switch is not being turned on. So the S2 switch will not be in operation in the positive half cycle, and also if you see, the D2 will also be not in operation in the positive half cycle, in the entire positive half cycle. In the negative half cycle, during the DTS period or during the DTS duration, as in case of positive half cycle, during the DTS period we have given gate pulses, or we have given a gate signal to S1 switch. In negative half cycle, what we do is, instead of giving gate signal to S1 switch, we are giving gate signal to the S2 switch. As a result of which, this S2 switch turns on, and the current will start flowing through this, and returns and find its pathway backwards to the source via the body diode of the MOSFET. And if you wanted to have the better conduction performance, or you can say less conduction loss, so what you can do is, you can also turn on its channel, so that the current will go through the channel. Now in this case, so in DTS period, the current will going through the S2 switch, and it will return back to the source. Now in this case, when we see our if we take the inductor voltage across the inductor polarity in a reverse direction, as our current is going in a reverse direction across the L, so what we can write here is that our minus VL, the voltage across the inductor is minus VL minus Vs. I mean if we say Vs of t, we write. And in 1 minus dTs period, when the gate signal sent to S2 switch is opened, when it is been opened, the current through the inductor will force the D2 or the D2 will get turned on, and as a result of which the current will go through the load, and then it will return, it will find this pathway through the body diode of the MOSFET, and then find path back to the source. So here we can write, if we do the KVL, again the current is in the opposite direction, so polarity of the voltage across the inductor will be in a reverse direction. So when we write, what we will get is, we will get minus VL is equals to V naught minus Vs of t, or we can then write our VL is equals to, our VL is then equal to Vs minus V naught. So if we see, if we write our expressions, so in positive half cycle, we have, during dTs duration, we have VL equal to Vs, and during 1 minus dTs duration, our VL is equals to Vs minus V naught. Again this Vs is Vs of t, you can same thing, this is the small v what I am drawing. In the negative half cycle, during dTs period, if we see, it was minus VL minus VST, Vs of t minus VL minus Vs of t. So we can write VL is directly equal to Vs, and in 1 minus dTs period, we have VL is nothing but, if you see, Vs of t minus V naught. That is when we can write the voltage across inductor during dTs duration, we can write is nothing but modulus of Vs, because only the magnitude are been there, and in 1 minus dTs period, it is VL, voltage across inductor, is nothing but modulus Vs minus V naught. And it is similar to that of, if you look very carefully, it is similar to that of our boost PFC case, and thus when we do the volt second balance over the half line cycle, we will get, in the same manner what we have done during the boost PFC case, and then take the approximation, what we will get is, our duty ratio is varied with the same as that of boost PFC. So our duty ratio will vary, so our duty ratio will vary same as that of boost PFC case, which is 1 minus modulus Vs peak sin omega t by V naught. Now this is the duty ratio dt, which has to vary over the entire half line cycle. So we can then write, our, if we see in positive half cycle, only the S1 switch is getting that duty ratio signal. Only the S1 switch is turned on and turned off during the switching period time in the for the dTs duration, while it is off for 1 minus dTs duration. So we can then write our duty ratio of S1 switch is equals to d of t when our Vs is greater than 0, and in the, if you see in the negative half cycle, the S1 switch is not at all being given the signal, gate signal, or it is completely off. So we can and only the current is going only through the diode, or diode which is connected across the device. So it is nothing but the ds1 of t is nothing but equal to 0 for Vs less than 0. And similarly we can also write for ds, or we can also write for switch S2, the duty ratio will be in positive half cycle, S2 is not, will not be turn on and off during dTs and 1 minus dTs period, it is completely off. So we can then write duty ratio is nothing but 0 for Vs greater than 0, and in the negative half cycle it's the S2 switch which turns on during the DTS period and turns off during the 1 minus DTS period. So the duty ratio of DS2 switch is nothing but D of T. And if you see in any in any given instance of time, what we see is that, and if you see in any given instance of time, the two of your devices are in conduction. In this period also it's the S1 switch and the diode which is connected across the S2 switch, or you can say the body diode if MOSFET is used. In 1 minus DTS period also it is the diode D1 and the diode which is connected to S2 switch. In negative half cycle also, if you see in DTS period it's the S2 switch and the diode which is connected across the device S1, that means the body diode, the MOSFET is used. And in 1 minus DTS period is the D2 and the body diode which is connected across the device S1, diode which is connected across the device S1. So we can say that at any given instance two devices are in conduction. So let us see how our D of T varies. So if we try to draw, if my Vs is like this, let's say this is Vs which has Vs peak and this is T, and we have our V0 voltage, let's say greater than Vs peak. So this is our V0 voltage. So our duty ratio will be of the form goes from here to here, not going to 0 because we have assumed that V0 is greater than this one. So this at this point the peak, the minimum value, so this is nothing but a D of T, and here we have close to 1 during at that point, then close to 0 during this point, where this is nothing but 1 minus modulus Vs peak by V0. This is the minimum at minimum value. So this is what you will get, and near to the closer to 0 our duty is nothing but 1, and then so it is near to 1 because our Vs is nothing but equal to 0. So we have 1 going from and going near to 0, not exactly 0, and if we take V0 equal to Vs peak, then this is 0, otherwise it is very close to 0. This and this value is same. So this is a duty ratio variation which is the same as that of the case of boost PFC converter case. However, there is no diode bridge rectifier, and if we look very carefully, so in both the DTS period and 1 minus DTS period only two devices are in conduction. So we can see that at any instance, any time instance, only two devices are in conduction, thus having a lower conduction loss as compared to that of the boost PFC case. Okay, and one more thing you will see here, we have only 1 2 3 4 devices, only 4 devices need to be used as compared to 6 devices in case of boost PFC with the full bridge diode rectifier. Now the disadvantage with this is, if you see one disadvantage in this particular kind of system is this diode D1 and D2 which are there, these are switching at switching frequency FSW, which was not the case in case of boost PFC, where we have the diodes at the first stage, because there the diodes are switching at the line frequency. Here the diodes need to switch at higher switching frequency, and which is at FSW. So disadvantage is diodes need to switch at FSW. That means it turns on and turn off at higher switching frequency, and here FSW is greater than, very much greater than FS line frequency. While in case of boost PFC, where we have the diode bridge rectifier at the front stage, our diodes were switching at, or our diodes are forward bias and reverse bias. Only one of this cycle it is on, another half cycle it is off. So, only once it is switched in one line cycle. However, here it has to switch, or it has to go from off to on or on to off at every switching period, or at every switching frequency period, and that switching frequency is very much greater than Fs. So, thus fast recovery diode has to be used. Need to be used, and this also lead to higher losses associated with diode. This is the disadvantage of this particular converter. However, if we see the L value, C value, it is the same as that of what we have calculated during the boost PFC case. But here the diode, whatever are there, has to be very fast reactive one, or very fast recovery diodes need to be used, and here the reverse recovery losses are enormously very high, since the diodes are switching at, or are becoming off and on in every switching cycle, and this switching cycle is very smaller as compared to that of the line cycle or line cycle period. So, that is why this lot of losses, I mean huge losses associated with the diodes are there, which is one of the disadvantage. So, this is the problem with this bridgeless PFC. Now, this bridgeless PFC, since these diodes are switching at a frequency which is very much larger than the line frequency, or you can say that the diode need to be very fast recovery, that we can avoid by using another kind of derived topology of bridgeless PFC, you can say is nothing but called as a totem pole PFC. It is one of the commonly used PFC topologies, or you can say bridgeless PFC topologies, which are being used. The reason being we will see here. So, in this, if you look very carefully, we have again 4 devices, that means 2 switches and 2 diodes, which are rearranged in a fashion such that we have one leg as active half bridge and one leg as diode based half bridge. Here S1 and S2 switches are mostly realized using MOSFETs, and the diodes shown over here are the body diode of MOSFET. It is because whenever the body diode is in conduction, one can turn on the MOSFET by applying required gate to source voltage, and thus allow the current to flow through the channel, which gives very less conduction losses. In this case, here we assume when MOSFET turns on, the voltage drop across the channel is very less, which will not forward bias the body diode. One can also use IGBT to realize S1 and S2 switches, but in that case one has to connect freewheeling diode across the switch, so that when the current is in negative direction, it can flow through the freewheeling diode. However, in this lecture we will only consider S1 and S2 as MOSFETs, and let us see the functionality of that. In the positive half cycle, again in the positive half cycle, in one of the switching period, when the, let us say when the duty ratio are the constant value D, capital D. So, during that time what happens is that in DTS period my S2 is on. Now, the moment the S2 is on, this here you are having Vs peak sin omega t coming over here. The moment this thing is there in a positive half cycle, this is positive where your Vs is greater than 0, here it is Vs. So, at that point you are having positive voltage applied over here across the inductor, this S2 is on. So, the current will start going like this, and through the D2 will get forward bias, and since this get forward bias, if this get forward bias, then automatically this entire V0 will be appearing across D1, and that is when D1 is reversed bias, and as a result of which you will see that across the inductor, the voltage applied is nothing but VL is nothing but Vs. In 1 minus dTs period, the switch S2 is turned off. As a result, the inductor current will find its path through the body diode of S1, and thus we can turn on the S1 switch. That means S1 switch is on during 1 minus dTs period. Now the moment you turn on this S1 switch, what happens is that the current will start, instead of going through the S2 switch, it is going through the S1 switch, and that is when it goes to the S1 switch through the load, it comes back, and again D2 gets forward bias, and then it comes back into the source, which is nothing but Vs sin omega t. So here if you look very carefully, in both the dTs period and 1 minus dTs period, D2 is on, D2 is on in both the period, both in dTs period and 1 minus dTs period. So thus the D2 is on in the entire switching period, and it is one of the switching period. So in all the switching in all the switching period in the positive half cycle, your D2 is on. That means it is working like a, in case of full bridge rectifier, where we have the diodes are forward bias in one half cycle and allows current to pass through it, and it is off in the rest of the half cycle. So thus in here also it is the same thing, in positive half cycle D2 is on, while in the negative half cycle, same thing, in one of the dTs period in the negative half cycle, the S1 is on in dTs period. Here S1 is on, if you see S1 is on. During that time, since it is a negative half cycle, the Vs, the current will start through this, and from here from the source in this direction, and since in this one this current will actually forward bias this D1, and as a result of which D1 is on, and then you have the same thing, which is nothing but the VL, which is will have the same Vs input voltage applied across it. In 1 minus dTs period, the S1 switch is turned off. As a result, the inductor current will find its path through body diode of S2, and thus we can turn on the S2 switch. That means S2 switch turns on during 1 minus dTs period in negative half cycle, and as a result of which you will see that D1, because of the current direction D1 is forward bias, and thus the current goes through the V0 voltage and comes back to L, and again here also the voltage across inductor is again Vs minus V0. So what we see is that in the dTs period, the VL, the voltage across inductor is nothing but Vs. In the 1 minus dTs period, let us say in the positive half cycle, my VL is nothing but Vs minus V0, and that we do the same thing. It is the same case as that of the boost PFC case. What we get is D of t is varying 1 minus modulus Vs peak sin omega t by V0. It is the same duty ratio we get. However, we see that in positive half cycle, S2 is switched with this duty cycle, and S1 is switched with 1 minus this duty cycle, while in negative half cycle is the S1 which switched with this duty cycle value, and S2 is switched with 1 minus this duty cycle value. So here it is in the positive half cycle and in negative half cycle, it is the duty ratio with which S1 and S2 is on gets changed in every half cycle. And along with this, if you look very carefully, in the positive half cycle only D2 is on, in the negative half cycle always D1 is on. Why always D1 is on? Because during dTs period and 1 minus dTs period in the negative half cycle, always my D1 is in conduction, is forward bias and is on, and that is when our D1 is always on in negative half cycle. So what we infer from this is, in this particular totem pole PFC, because we are giving S1 and S2 duty ratio in such a manner that we make sure that only this S1 and S2 switches with high switching frequency, which is FSW, while D1 and D2 are switches with line frequency, which is Fs. And we know that we have FSW is very much greater than Fs, and so we can say that the operation is such that it has two legs where one of the legs are fast switching leg while other one is slow switching, or you can say line frequency switching leg. Okay, you can say that. And this is nothing but one of the advantage with this totem pole PFC converter, that S1 and S2 are switching at a faster switching frequency, while D1 and D2 are forward and reverse bias in the line frequency period, and thus we do not need a fast recovery D1 and D2 diode. It can be done with the slow recovery diode itself. So that is one of the advantage with this, and in any given instance only two devices are coming in conduction. And if we look very carefully in positive half cycle, the duty ratio of S1, we can say that it is 1 minus d of t, while duty ratio of S2 is nothing but d of t, and in negative half cycle the ds1 is nothing but duty ratio of S1 switch is nothing but d of t, while duty ratio of S2 switch is nothing but 1 minus d of t. And we know that our d of t is nothing but 1 minus modulus Vs peak sin omega t divided by V naught, that we have already derived in case of boost PFC. And we can say that during this period in positive half cycle only D1 is on. I mean, you can say that out of D1 and D2, here always D1 is on, always D1 is on, while in negative half always D2 is on, while in negative half cycle always D1 is on. So this is the thing we got from our understanding of totem pole PFC, that in positive half cycle my S2 is switching with d of t, I mean my when in during DTS period S2 is on, and 1 minus DTS period S1 is on, while in negative half cycle my S1 is on with d of t and S2 is on with 1 minus d of t, while D2 is on for the entire positive line cycle or half cycle, and D1 is on for the entire negative half cycle. Now we will discuss further on this in the next class or in the next lecture. Thank you for patiently listening to this lecture.